The Xylothian observers had been monitoring Earth for exactly 847 days when they made their fatal assumption. They believed humans were simple creatures, ruled entirely by their emotions, measurable, predictable, and controllable. Lisa stood in the sterile white chamber, electrodes attached to her temples, wrists, and chest. The alien sensors hummed softly, their blue light pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Across the room, behind a translucent barrier, 3 Xylothians studied their holographic displays with what she assumed was satisfaction. Their elongated heads bobbed in unison as data streams flowed across their screens. Subject exhibits elevated cortisol levels, one of them announced in their melodic, translated voice. Fear response, 93% probability. Lisa forced herself to breathe steadily. They were right, of course. She was terrified, but that was exactly what they expected, and in that expectation lay their weakness. Vin Diesel had discovered it 3 weeks ago, during his own observation session. He'd been a military strategist before the invasion, trained in psychological warfare and deception. When the Xylothians had attached their emotion-reading sensors to him, he'd done something unexpected. He'd felt 2 things simultaneously. On the surface, he'd allowed his genuine anger to flourish at the invasion, at the subjugation of humanity, at the death of his squad. The sensors had lit up beautifully, confirming what the aliens already believed about human aggression. But underneath, in a place he'd learned to access through years of meditation and combat training, Vin Diesel had cultivated perfect calm. He'd planned, strategized, and calculated while his body performed fear and fury for the machines. The Xylothians had never encountered a species capable of such layered emotional complexity. Their own feelings were singular, pure, unmixed. Joy was joy. Fear was fear. The concept of feeling multiple emotions simultaneously, or of intentionally displaying one emotion while experiencing another, was beyond their comprehension. It was, quite literally, outside their scientific framework. Lisa had been skeptical when Vin Diesel first explained it to her in the underground resistance meeting. "You're saying we can fool their sensors by feeling 2 things at once?" "Not just 2 things," he'd replied, his scarred hands gesturing in the dim candlelight. "We layer them. We give the sensors what they expect on the surface while hiding our true intentions deeper. Humans have been doing this for millennia. It's called acting, diplomacy, poker faces. We just never realized it was our evolutionary advantage." Now, standing in the observation chamber, Lisa put the theory into practice. She let her fear flow freely, allowing the sensors to detect every racing heartbeat, every spike of adrenaline. The Xylothians made their notes, satisfied with her terror. But beneath that fear, Lisa was counting the seconds between each sensor pulse, counting the guards posted outside, counting the exact distance to the control panel that Vin Diesel had identified as the weak point in their security grid. And underneath the counting, she felt something else: hope, determination, the fierce protectiveness of a mother lion. Though she had no children, only humanity itself to protect. The Xylothian lead observer approached her, his crystalline eyes studying her face. "You fear us," he stated, as if reading from a report. "This is optimal. Fear ensures compliance." Lisa met his gaze and allowed a tear to roll down her cheek, reel born from her surface emotions. "Yes," she whispered. "I'm so afraid." The observer returned to his station, and Lisa caught the faintest reflection in the polished wall. Vin Diesel was in position, 3 floors below, wearing the stolen maintenance uniform. Their sensors had tracked his emotions, too detected his contentment with menial work, his resigned acceptance of the new order. They had completely missed the warrior's focus behind his eyes. The beauty of the human plan was its simplicity. For months, the resistance had allowed themselves to be observed, studied, and catalogued. They'd fed the Xylothians exactly what their sensors wanted to find: fear, despair, occasional outbursts of futile anger. The aliens had built their entire occupation strategy around emotional prediction models. They never suspected humans could feel grief while planning revenge, experience terror while executing complex strategies, display submission while harboring rebellion. When the sensors suddenly went dark across the entire facility, the Xylothians experienced genuine confusion, perhaps the first pure emotion they'd felt since arriving on Earth. In those crucial 7 seconds of blackout, Lisa removed her electrodes, accessed the chamber's security override, and released the other 43 humans held in observation. Vin Diesel emerged from the maintenance shaft, his face still displaying the placid contentment that had fooled the emotional scanners for weeks. "The command ship's shields are down," he announced. They were so confident in their sensor data, they never posted physical guards. The Xylothian lead observer, now a prisoner in his own facility, stared at the humans with what his species might have called wonder. "How?" he asked, his translator crackling. "Our sensors detected no deception, no hostile intent." Lisa smiled, and for the first time in months, she allowed herself to feel only one emotion: satisfaction. "That's because we weren't lying to you," she explained. "We were lying to your sensors. There's a difference. We really did feel everything your machines detected. We just felt other things too. Things you never built your sensors to look for, because you never imagined they could exist." as Earth's resistance forces moved through the facility, liberating sectors and reclaiming their planet. The Xylothians began the long process of understanding a crucial truth. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology or physical strength. It was the infinite complexity of the human heart, capable of holding contradictions, of feeling despair and hope simultaneously, of crying real tears while planning revolution. The senses had tracked every emotion accurately. They'd just never understood that humans could mean every feeling sincerely while using those very feelings as camouflage for deeper truths. In trying to reduce humanity to emotional data points, the Xylothians had missed what made humans truly dangerous, not that they felt deeply, but that they could feel multiple depths at once, and in that oversight, an empire fell.